This is Moonshine and Music with Joe Shelton. Wait a minute, that's me. Anyway, we're going to bring you some inspiring songwriters, musicians, and maybe some side challenges and other stuff around the music industry. So stick with us right now, because the show is coming your way. Woo! Moonshine and Music starts right now.
Being locked down now, most people are locked down. If you're locked down with a group, it's probably family or maybe roommates or something. And it's turned boredom eating into either a competitive sport or a game show. I'm not quite sure which. But you'll be laying in your room, you know, binging Netflix and thinking, man, I wonder if that last piece of chicken's still in the refrigerator. And if it is, can I get to it before somebody else? We don't want to repeat a last week's last piece of cake incident. Man, Mom's got a mean left hook. Yeah, and I think now, you know, a lot of parents have been forced into homeschooling their kids. And I think teaching little kids, anyway, math has gotten easier now. I mean, because you have, like, you know, like, okay, little Timmy, there are 48 Oreos in a package. There are 4 of us that live in the house. How many Oreos does each person get? Timmy says, 12? No. Mommy and Daddy each get 18, and the other 2 of you non-essentials get to fight for the rest.
Welcome to Moonshine and Music. Today is a somber affair. We have Brent Lee Smith on board, and we're going to do a tribute show today to rest in peace, our good friend, very good friend of the show, Larry George. He's behind Brent today. Brent, you want to talk a little bit about Larry to start this all off?
Yeah. Well, you can see he's got his neck tattoo there. Larry's a good dude. Like, we started comedy about the same time and became friends, and then being good friends. Just kind of, even though he looks like 200 years older than me, we're about the same age. And so we bonded over that, being a couple of the older guys in the local comedy scene, and not really caring about 25-year-olds bullshit or whatever. And he's just like a real good dude. He had his keep disappearing. He got me this he had the robe thing made for me for my birthday, so that's why I'm wearing it, but it keeps disappearing. But he's a real good guy, real helpful. He had his issues with the law, but like nothing crazy, just mainly trying to help people out. And, you know, he liked to get high a little bit, so he had a little bit of trouble with that. But he's helpful to everybody. He just not too long ago, he went down to Bloomington to help a friend of ours with his car. He's helped me a bunch with my house projects, a little bit of everything, and sometimes he thought he knew more than he did, but, you know, it's kind of part of his charm. Just real great dude, rough around the edges, but like once you knew him, real loyal, and like even with his craziness, whatever, like he knew about it, he's upfront with it, and he owned it. So he was always him. Never fake, like not even the tiniest bit. So,
well, you know, I think that you know, knowing him as I do, I know that he really struggled with the monkey on his back. Obviously, that's what happened to him in the end, and it's very sad. But our whole society has been struggling not only with the coronavirus, but before that, and still, and something that's being ignored is that we have, you know, a drug crisis in this country, where people aren't getting the mental health care that they need. People aren't getting the health care in general that they need, and sometimes they're in pain, and they end up being subject to some of the drugs that they get started on, and then there are, you know, just a myriad of ways that people get into that and then no matter how hard they try or how clean they get, sometimes they tragically fall back into it, and we have a tragedy, you know. And
Yeah.
it makes me really sad because of the other folks that I've known that have fallen into that. And you know, Larry, who was a guy who really did love life at his core. I mean, he liked to joke, he liked to make people smile. He was very much a human,
Hmm.
and nothing like no kind of robot or anything. Anybody that ever met Larry would say, you know, that's a real dude right there. He's not someone who's gonna be fake or be
Yeah.
able to be fake, you know.
Yeah. Like if you knew Larry, you knew Larry. Like there was only one Larry.
Yeah. And you know, it's a tough thing. And we don't generally, you know, we generally shine a light on the music part of things in this show, but I wanted to show today, and I know you did, a little bit of Larry's comedy.
I just want to touch on something when you were talking earlier about just addiction and then all of that. With Larry, he had a bunch of health problems, including Crohn's disease and like really bad arthritis. And he tried to get help, like, you know, through doctors. He's like, man, like, you know, you diagnose me with this stuff, you know it's serious, you know what it does to me. And he couldn't get the help like that he needed from them. And you know, there's the whole opioid crisis too, and you know, then they were underprescribing and then overprescribing and getting lost in the shuffle with that. So he had to turn to, you know, to the street to get some stuff just to help him. And he also liked getting high, but a lot of it was legitimately just trying to feel better. Um, you know, he is an advocate for, you know, medical marijuana for one, and then, you know, end up doing, you know, some other stuff too. And I have a couple other friends. One buddy of mine, he has a thing. They nickname it the suicide disease because people can't deal with it. They end up killing themselves. Like my buddy, he's in 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 pain all the time, like 24/7. He's never not in pain, and he can't get help either. It's just ridiculous. And they make him jump through hoops to jump through the hoops, and then it's just more stuff. It's, you know, we need a lot of changes with a lot of things, and you know, a lot of people, you know, might hear about Larry and this and that. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, whatever. But you know, it's not that simple with a lot of people, and sometimes people don't have, you know, a choice but to go with the harder stuff because they can't get help medically.
I think they feel like they don't have a choice,
Yeah.
and sometimes they don't have other people to turn to help them.
Yeah.
And you know, I for me, people get help, ask for help. I know some people that are out there. There are some different programs out there. People can get help. I know it's hard. There's no doubt about that, and things do need to change, and it needs to get better. But please seek the help if you need it, and talk to other people. And hey, message us privately, and we'll try to help you get in the right direction. And somebody that can talk to
Absolutely.
you, somebody that can help you. We you know, we may not be the best at it, but we'll certainly give it a shot. You know.
Yeah, for sure. It's like you know,
And
I've seen too much of this. I've had multiple family members die from it and everything. It's, you know, sometimes it's hard, especially you go and try to get help and keep getting denied. But you know, if you ask for my help, I won't stop until, you know, we find something.
hey, let's talk about some fun stuff with him.
Yeah.
You know, even though it's kind of an oddly fun thing, the first I heard of Larry was because you broadcasted at the Tow Yard Brewing Company that, you know, no longer exists, but
Yeah.
because they went out of business. But they had an open stage with Steve Kennan, who
Mhm.
was who was the, you know, big host there for a long time, and a lot of us musicians went there to the open stage. And one of the things we liked about that one was that, you know, there'd be some music, and then there'd be this part in the middle where Steve would open it up for comedy open stage also. It was mixed.
Mhm.
And you brought in Larry from prison to do his set on
Yeah.
the show.
Hello, Tow Yard. Welcome, welcome to Hendricks County Jail. Now, if you have seen me before, you might have thought I was kidding when I talked about the prison stuff, but obviously not. as I'm sitting here now. And unfortunately, I missed a court date, so I'm in here because I can't afford bond. Yeah, right back at you. Right back at you. So it's only $750. So if y'all want to take up a collection and call a bondsman, I'd be really appreciative. Seriously. Oh, look, Jesus made it. Right on. I mean, you know that, hello, everybody has been looking for Jesus for like 1,600 years now. So I'm glad you all found him. You know, that's the same picture of Jesus every white person has in their home. So, no, being in jail here is kind of shitty, you know, but at least in here they don't judge me on the throat tattoo. I know you can't see it from there, but it says trust Jesus. And, you know, that was a prison decision, mind you, you know. And while in prison making that decision, the thought process was something along the lines of, well, you know, what's the most ironic tattoo I could have when I get to hell?
You know, I mean, he joked very darkly, right? I mean, it's a very dark sense of humor.
And
Especially
he would love it, like anyone's hearing any of his jokes at all, like even now, and you know those specifically because you know that's just how he was.
I mean, it's crazy. So talk about how you get a guy from prison on video in a club. How do you make that happen?
Yeah, so in Hendricks County Jail, they have it set up to you can pay for like phone time, and they can either be just like on the phone or they got the video chat. And it's weird because like even if you go to try to see, you know, go to the jail to see him, you just do the video chat with each other. You just don't pay for it. It's kind of stupid. Like there's no reason to go to jail to see him because it's still like a video. Like, it's not even like a plexiglass. It's just a video. So I went. I put some money on his account to do to talk, and he wanted to perform. We timed it so where like I would start my set a little bit before that. And then when he, you know, beeped in, then we, you know, changed to him. And then I was able to turn my my laptop around a little bit so we could see, you know, some of the crowd. You know, when he was calling Nick Jesus and, you know, waving the people that are waving at him and everything. And
that was really cool to have the little, because you could see that people in the crowd could step up and wave. Like get right up against the Yeah, so we ended up doing it like that week, and then like the next week too, because he wasn't out yet. And the week after that, I was telling people, it's like, yeah, Larry's going to be here next week, and everybody's like, oh, cool, like, you know, from prison again. And I'm like, no, he's actually going to be here, like in person. He's out. And everybody's like, oh, it was just it's like the funniest thing to me. Like I gave him shit for that forever because like, people would rather see him from jail. Like apparently he's funnier from jail. He's just telling the same jokes, you know, as he did, but it just killed me. And we did it 4 times. Oh, yeah. The last time we did it, I got banned from video chat from my account for him. Yeah, because apparently it's against the rules, and then he had like he got banned for something for a couple of weeks or whatever too, because I guess like the superintendent or whoever's like in charge of the jail saw it and didn't like it or whatever, which we both found hilarious too. So I wanted to look at a little bit of one of his, you know, on stage sets or maybe a couple little pieces.
Maybe the Crackers one next.
Some people ask me if I found God in prison, and I'm like, no, why? What'd he do? His buddy snitched him out again, didn't he? 30 pieces of silver doesn't go nearly as far these days. Yeah, that first trial, they really crucified his ass. The whole carpentry background came out and nailed him in the end, I swear it did. How'd you like to be the guy that says to explain M&M's to Jesus when he comes back? They melt in your mouth. Oh, never mind. Have a Snickers. You're not the same when you've been resurrected. So, surprise, surprise, I'm happily divorced. 18 years, well, 8 years happily. About 8 years ago, her now second ex-husband, I'll let that one sink in. Her now second ex-husband, he calls me up on the phone. He says, man, you're never going to believe what this bitch did. try me. I married her first. She's like, man, she's been cheating on me. She's going to leave me. And when I stopped laughing, I was like, you know, I waited 10 years for this. I told you so. And he became one of my better weed dealers. I say better, but you think a dude can stole your wife and kids and knock $5 off a sack here and there. It's awful expensive. As I mentioned, I have kids. I have 2. My oldest, my daughter, she was always a straight A student, National Honor Society, 4 years marching band. She marched in the Rose Bowl parade. They actually invited her. She didn't just sneak in. But she had 17 scholarships time she got to college, so her whole first year was entirely paid for. And now she's Air Force intelligence and recently married. So it just goes to show you can drop them once. 8-month-olds are squirmy, and I caught her on the first bounce. No harm, no foul. She's only 5'1", but I don't think that was my fault. I'm trying to prove she gets her brains from me by writing physics jokes, but the punchlines always come out theoretical. I did write a physics joke, and if there's ever a room to tell it, I was messaging with a woman one night, and we were going back and forth for a couple hours, and then I get a message that says, hold on a sec. Well, 2.5 hours later, I started wondering, did she forget about me, or am I stuck on the event horizon of a black hole? Physics joke. Some of you got it. I love that joke. She didn't get her brains from me. Too bad I've hit mine on too many things.
You know, that's a good piece of his bit right there, right?
Yeah, like that. He loved the Jesus material. Obviously, you know, he wasn't very religious, and like he walked a bunch of people like on that at different places because they were upset he did it, and he found that just as funny as, you know, people laughing at it. You know, it's like it's not even, you know, that controversial. We talk about, you know, stigmata stuff a little bit, but like one time we were at a show in Kokomo, and it was actually the guy who's running the show, like friends of his, like they walked out after, you know, he did that material, and he was about done. So like after, you know, he wrote the set, and then he went outside to smoke, and they were still coming out, and they were talking about him, like, and he's right behind them, and, you know, then he kind of like, hey, how's it going, and just, you know, kept talking with them, whatever, and he was like, they're just so disgusted or whatever, they just kept saying whatever, and, you know, like, it was fine. Like he thought it was hilarious that, because with comedy, obviously, like the main thing you want to get, you know, is laughs. But if you get any reaction, like there's still something in it for you. And when someone like overreacts that badly, it's just hilarious because, you know, they apparently have no sense of humor at all. But they came to a comedy show.
I like the start of this other clip here where he kind of starts off his thing, and at this point he's grown like a rather long beard.
Yeah.
And so like it's the same, you know, kind of intro that we saw with the jailhouse thing, where he, you know, talks about his neck tattoo, but I really love the way he does this. So let's take a look at that.
Coming up next to the stage, a big hand for Larry George.
Good time everywhere I go. I do. I recently read a study that links excessive facial hair growth to excessive masturbation. I recently wrote a study. Yeah. I grow this out so people don't initially judge me on the large throat tattoo. It says trust Jesus. Now don't think too highly of me. That was a prison decision. While sitting in prison trying to decide to let this nice Aryan Brotherhood gentleman tattoo on me, he did say pick one, and he got tattooed. My thought process was something like, well, what's the most ironic tattoo I can have when I get to hell? I think trust Jesus covers that.
So I like that, and then I think it was out here in the middle somewhere. Let me see this.
This week, he's 18. He's about 6 foot tall, 190 pounds. So I might need a DNA test on that one.
Talking about his son.
Till he cut off his 2 years of hair growth in his beard and enlisted, I'm like, shit, that looks like my high school pictures. I don't think I need a DNA test on that one. I did find out recently my daughter got married. She got married in February. I found out March. Shows how close we are. She don't like my jokes either. Truth hurts, though. Truth hurts. So I have Crohn's disease. It's a shitty disease. Unintended, yes. And I think I've heard a lot about the bathroom terminology. We've all used it. It's gross. It's disgusting. I think it's barbaric. I think it's time we move up to the digital age. It's 2018, right? Let's move this up. I think now, from here on out, we use logging out and streaming. Bathroom conversations are a lot more interesting than your buddy's house, and he's like, "Can I use the bathroom?" He's like, "Well, what do you gotta do? You logging out, you streaming." You're logging out, I mean, you use the upstairs with the spray and the plunger. I know what you do.
So that right there, as he changed those bits and made them fit into that time space, and still, I think that's just such a really good piece of Larry, because I've seen him several times, and that little piece there was like what I would say is the epitome of why he was a good comic, why he was funny.
Yeah.
The way that he was relatable, the way that he would, make completely fun of himself, and that makes the audience like feel a little more comfortable with each passing joke.
Yeah, like most of his stuff was about his life. We started off as a true story, maybe embellished a little bit, but like no one else could tell his jokes. Like joke stealing, is a big deal in comedy, and it hasn't happened too much in the local scene. But you couldn't steal his jokes because they were all about his life, and his life was just so unusual.
Just as a person who's lived, there's always a story, right? There's his story, there's their story, there's a relationship mess.
His ex-wife is legitimately not.
I'm sure she was tough. I'm not trying to defend her in any way.
No. Like the whole point, I was just saying, even this thing that hurt him the most in life, he still joked about it on stage.
Yeah, that whole clash, that whole clash and that inner turmoil. It really hurt him, or he wouldn't joke about it. Like the all of those things that we all kind of have in our lives, right? Everybody's got relationships that don't work out and stuff, and sometimes there's some kids involved, and even though they're adult children, I feel like I hope that they can see this and see that their dad was a funny guy, and that he touched a lot of people, and whatever relationship that they had, maybe it can be a little bit of, hey, this guy really did care, even if it didn't always mesh in real life, right? When he was here, and because that's just obvious that he did, and he's
his son was coming around, which was good. He sung with him, and both his kids are in the service now. His son is in Japan in the Navy. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to come home for the service, and his daughter's in the Air Force out in California too. So he is extremely proud of him. He loved him with every part of him, and even though they weren't talking for different reasons, whatever, he never stopped caring. And and then part of him joking about it on stage was just to kind of keep them in his lives that way. Or keep them in his life.
Find a way to cope with things not being exactly what he would want them to be, right?
Yeah.
And I hope that people can take a look at some of his other things. I'm going to put like a couple of the public links to videos of his full shows, so people can go out there and watch. There was one recently that's on Gutty's TV during the quarantine.
Yeah.
I had a little piece of it here, but I think that people should just go click on the link and watch it. I think it's probably his last video performance. I don't know if we have anything new.
Yeah, it is actually.
And
he did one more show in Kokomo, but he didn't have video. This was
right.
TV is his last video.
Yeah, and it's a really good one. I think, and so but I'll put a couple of those links to where people can find them in the show notes. So if you're listening on the podcast, you can go and actually see, a video presentation and watch his comedy. And I'm telling you right now, it'll be a fun few minutes for you to watch one of his bits. They're not super long. It's not like an hour and a half long commitment or anything. You know, you can jump in and see it, and you know, maybe get a little smile on your face. And for us, I think you know, what I want people to get out of it is to remember our friend Larry, and to understand that, you know, he was here, and he was a good entertainer, and he was a good guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He loved doing comedy, like, and he talked about it before, like in his bit about, you know, being sick at Riley, and, you know, comedy helping to heal. That was absolutely true. He wanted to start sooner, but he's just stage fright. You worried about getting on stage, and he finally took the plunge, and like, he was meant to do this.
All right, man. I'm gonna send it out with one last little, and you guys can see kind of the wrap up of his last on-screen performance. This is Gutty's TV presents Quarantine Comedy, and here's a little piece of it.
School education, and not a high school diploma, and a college education. You know, hindsight is, you know, 2020. But no, you know, because laughter is the best medicine, and I really believe that all that laughter helped me to heal. You know, and I try to laugh every day. You know, I was 27 years in between major surgeries, so I think laughter does help. You know, almost as much as cannabis. But I mean, they're like real close, and one really begets the other. So do them in the right order. But I told myself back then, you know, I said, one day I'm going to get up there, and that's what I'm going to give back that laughter, that healing that I was gifted so much of, you know, back as a teenager. And I continue telling jokes now because I am so addicted to the laughter and the applause. And it's nights like this, groups like y'all, I got to thank y'all for not feeding my addiction too bad. Just remember, you can't say hilarious without saying Larry. I'm Larry George.
Moonshine in Music is a presentation of Notlehs Entertainment. Copyright 2020, all rights reserved. The producer for today's show was Joe Shelton. Our cameraman, grip, and stunt double was Brent Lee Smith. On cameras and all sorts of other things, Bailey Shelton. And our staff guru is Brent Schlemmer. Join us each Sunday for new episodes right here with Moonshine and Music.